Ghostbusters. I watched this as a young teenager way back in 1984. Such a great film. The film was directed by Ivan Reitman and written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. It stars the brilliant Bill Murray, Aykroyd and Ramis as Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz and Egon Spengler, three eccentric parapsychologists who start a ghost-catching business in New York City. It was the first comedy film to employ expensive special effects, and Columbia Pictures, concerned about its relatively high $25 to $30 million budget, had little faith in its box office potential. Thankfully, Ghostbusters was released on June 8, 1984 to critical acclaim and became a cultural phenomenon. The film earned $282 million in its initial run, making it the second highest grossing film of 1984 in the United States and Canada, and then the biggest grossing comedy ever. It was the number one film in theatres for 7 consecutive weeks and one of only 4 films to gross more than $100 million that year. And I have to say, I love the theme song Ghostbusters by Ray Packard Jr. Very catchy, and it was also a number 1 hit. Love that song. Now, with its effect on popular culture and a dedicated fan following, the success of Ghostbusters launched a multi-billion-dollar multimedia franchise. This included the popular animated television series The Real Ghostbusters, its follow-up Extreme Ghostbusters, board games, comic books, clothing, music, haunted attractions, and of course, video games. And that brings us on to our game that we are discussing today. So, the Ghostbusters game that we're looking at is the 1990 platform shoot-'em-up video game developed and published by Sega for the Sega Mega Drive, or the Genesis as you like to call it in the United States. It features an original story based on the Ghostbusters films, and it's totally unrelated to the 1984 Ghostbusters game by Activision. The game was released in the United States in August 1990 and was released in the United Kingdom later that year. A Brazilian version by Tec Toy was also released for the console in 1991.
Magic and might, ghouls and ghosts, Ghostbusters and Forgotten Worlds are for the Genesis system. Sega Genesis brings the arcade experience home. Game sold separate.
So, let's have a look at the game. So, Ghostbusters is a platform shoot-'em-up with side-scrolling gameplay. The game's story involves ghosts terrorising a city after an earthquake. The game begins with you selecting your character. Peter is the all-round guy, average speed and durability. Egon is the fragile speedster, fastest character but weakest in taking hits. And then there's Ray, the mighty glacier. He might be the slowest, but he can take the most hits. Now, if you want a challenge, pick Egon, otherwise you'll be more than fine if you select the other two. I have to say, Ray is my favourite, not because of his user-friendly nature, but because he is Dan Aykroyd. The only thing I would say is, where Sans Winston? Where is he in this game? Why did they not include him? I have absolutely no idea why he was left out, and to this day, nothing has really been said about it. Perhaps it was to do with the fact that he was perhaps considered more of a supporting character in the film. You can also see he's not on all the film posters either, so that must say something there too. Anyway, Ghostbusters includes 6 levels, including 4 which are set in haunted residential buildings and can be played in any order. And then once the choice has been made, you can then select one of the 4 levels that are initially available for you. Now, each of the 4 levels has a theme, with fire, ice, water, etc. being the theme of the levels. Sadly, only 2 of the levels truly make use of their environment, with the Woody house requiring you to wear the goggles. Yes, the goggles from the movie. And you wear those in order to see in the pitch black, and the apartment having you move hurriedly along the ice platforms by shooting the icicles that grow and fall down on you. The player can crouch, jump, and is equipped with a gun, which can be shot in all directions and is used to eliminate ghosts. The player earns money by eliminating ghosts and can use the funds to buy upgraded weapons through shops that appear in between levels. Upgraded weapons include a bomb and a gun that emits flames. And the player can also purchase a shield that provides temporary invincibility. And the money can also be used to buy food for health replenishment. And with regards to the overall objective of the game, well, the Ghostbusters are to retrieve pieces of a stone tablet from each of the 4 initial levels by ridding the areas of ghosts. As you run along, avoiding obstacles, platforming and kill various ghost objectives possessed by ghosts, you will eventually come across middle ghosts, the middle bosses of each level. And each of these middle bosses are either themed from the film, in some ways that is, or themed from the level itself, with a final boss waiting for you once you eliminate these middle ghosts. And these boss enemies, well, they include the first film's Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Fantastic. So anyway, let's have a quick look at the rest of the levels and the bosses associated with those levels. And once the pieces have been collected, you then find a letter from someone called Arthur. And apparently this Arthur was a friend to the owner of the weapon shop, whom is referred to as Grandpa, though this could be just a term of endearment lost in translation. Arthur wants you to head to the abandoned castle just outside the town. And once you're there, the true reason for the ghost comes out, and you must try to stop it. And I have to say, the plot is nothing major for an early 90s game, and while it all makes sense and it is executed decently, it will not be anything that will jump out of the TV. Thankfully though, I have to say, the graphics are very good in this game. Where the game does take a hit, it's usually because it's quite repetitive, and you really do not know where you're going until you have played the game a few times, which does make Ghostbusters not the best in terms of pick 'em up and play. And yes, healing items are available to you, and health or energy droplets are dropped by Slimer. However, there are also several other weapons and protective items for you to purchase, and truthfully, only 2 or 3 are actually practical and useful. Again, not a big deal, as this was a game from 1990 and not many games had the foresight to make things seamless and practical at the time. All around though, Ghostbusters plays solidly and is a fun and challenging game to play. And the story is another element that is solid about the game. Now, I have to say, for an early Genesis title, these are fantastic graphics, with very detailed for its time sprites, and bright colours that surprisingly fit in well with a dark and gloomy game. The characters and enemies have a bunch of charm and uniqueness to them, specifically the Ghostbusters themselves. They are distinct and you will never lose them among the backdrop of the levels. The Woody House enemies look excellent and they really stand out with the dark background. The middle ghosts have quite a bit of detail and look great as well, while the level bosses are even more detailed. The levels are just repeating backgrounds, but they do have a fair amount of detail in them also, especially for 1990. And a special mention goes to the apartment, with textured floors and walls, minimal water effects and the fallen ice. Very well done. The sounds are another part of Ghostbusters that are well done. The game features 22 musical scores, including Ray Parker Jr.'s song Ghostbusters. Now, you're not going to find anything super iconic in the music, but boy, it's close. Beginning with the effects though, the sound effects in Ghostbusters are just brilliant, with a lot of original sounds that perfectly fit the ghosts in question. Be it in the bouncy sound that the jumping enemies make in the apartment, to the metal twanging sounds made whenever something is thrown. Everything sounds great and super apt to the in-game situation. And I have to say, the music is slick and very well done, with many memorable tunes that if they were in a more popular and perhaps a more widely released title, would probably be considered staples of the early 16-bit days. And a special mention goes out to the apartment, Woody House and the castle themes, not to mention the absolutely awesome Ray Parker Ghostbusters theme that starts the game off and plays between each level as well. Sure, okay, it's not loud and powerful as the original, but for a 16-bit game, it's damn good. Now, with regards to replayability, I have to say, Ghostbusters provides a fairly good challenge, and that's where its replay lies, as the game does not have a ton of content to unlock, nor does it have anything that allows you to play on past the end of the game. The game should run an expert up around 3 hours of time at the most, and you do have 10 continues, thus you will have a lot of chances to complete it. So for me, Ghostbusters is a classic type of game where replay consists of progressing a bit further, then a little bit further, every time you play. Anyway, let's have a further look at the game, right up to the end boss. So there you go. So I have to say, I'm a massive fan of the movie, and I have a special place in my heart for this truly great game. You just need to stick with it. Being a game that is not the best pickup and play title has hurt it a bit in terms of popularity, but no one can deny that it is a solid game that packs a bit of a challenge. So if you find it lying around at a game shop, do your best to snatch it up, because it's a good game. Right folks, that was my review of Ghostbusters on the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my thoughts. It's just my opinion, remember, and it's okay to disagree. Also, please remember to press the like button, share, and even better, subscribe to my channel. Again, thanks for watching, very much appreciated. Until my next video, take care of yourselves, see you all very soon, bye bye. Yeah, busting makes me feel good.